Hello, citizens of YouTube. This is the Geeky Nerd here, and today we're going to be talking about how to install night sights on your Walther P99, PPQ, the whole Walther line essentially, and in particular how to do the night vision sights because they're all made a little bit differently, but we're going with night vision here tonight. Before I get too deep in the weeds here, I'd like to send a big thank you to everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed on the previous videos. I appreciate you guys. If you're new to the channel here, welcome. Check out everything else we got. And if you like this video or you want to see other stuff like this, just let me know and like, commented, and or subscribe. Comment, not commented. But let's get into it here. So the sights I decided to go with is the Night Vision Glow Domes. Now, they have the perfect dots and a few other models, but I decided to go with Night Vision, and specifically the U-notch. The reason for that is because, at least for me, I seem to be able to pick up that U-notch better instead of trying to fit like the standard Glock sights of the square, lining up the squares to fit it in a circle just seems more natural. And from a few people I've talked to, they agree as well. It's a bit more of a natural aiming process. So I recommend you guys look up the U-notch. Night Vision, they're a relatively new company, but I will say after what I've seen with them and used them a little bit, my Trijicons are dead to me. and I know that's a big bold statement. They are just a tiny bit cheaper than the Trijicons, but what I like about them is a couple things. One, they do something actually in particular, and you'll be able to see here, they actually don't mark like on Trijicon when the date of installation was, because they actually make these to order. So you place an order, then they fill it and make it at that time. So you know you're getting the freshest, greatest, best tritium that you could possibly get with the longest lifetime. Also, in particular, with these Glow Dome ones, the Glow Dome isn't available across their entire product line, at least what I'm seeing. But on these ones, they are domed, which is pretty nice, and that little ring glows, but they definitely have a very nice fit, finish, feel. They are made here in the old US of A, and they're just all around really good sights from what I've seen. And I intend on placing all my Trijicons with these guys and saying, Trijicons, you've been good, but have a good life with someone else. So let's get into it first here. We're going to open these up. It does come with a little Allen wrench. Put that off to the side. There went the sight. So you can see what I'm talking about, how they are domed. I believe they're sapphire crystals here. Like I said, they don't actually mark it because, when you buy it, that's the date that it is good for with the tritium. And then you can see there, little glow dome. From what I read, this is actually beyond being the tritium, this will actually glow into the surrounding orange and kind of give you a nice little pop. But yeah, you see what I'm saying, how it just lines up. It just seems a bit better, at least for me. Now, one thing in particular with the Walthers is that they actually have a little, come on, focus, they actually have a little plunger and a screw. These do not. That's probably the biggest difference between the Trijicons and these ones. I actually put the factory ones back on because not everyone has Trijicons. They might just have these crappy but useful Walther plastic sights. You can see these have had their better day. So I want to give you guys the best experience with it. Well, let's get into it. A bit farther here. Some things you're going to need. One is this Tecton toolkit. This is fantastic. I highly recommend you guys to go check these out. There's a link in the description for them. They do not come with the pliers. Those are mine. But they come with any type of little bits, precision stuff that you could possibly need in a nice little compact package, and they're just great. But for this particular installation, you're going to need something very fine to be able to push that plunger down. I decided to use these dangerously pokey pliers, which you guys can't see. Screwdriver, a 1.3 hex bit, and a 2.5 flat blade. Put that off to the side. Also, you're going to need with this, like I said, these do not install the exact same way that Trijicons do and that the Walther factory sights do as well. So that's where I would recommend getting their Armor's toolkit that they have. It comes with like a little sandy block. I'll show you about that. A drifting punch, a thread or screw, and another kind of punch, and then a very nice hammer. All of these tools are very nice. They're like $20. But one thing you will note is from departure from the OEM is that it actually uses standard Glock screws. So that's a nice little thing to have. Of course, everything's going the way of Glock, but not too much wrong with that. For this sight, you're going to actually take this here and push down this little plunger. Once you do, I recommend kind of covering it with your thumb and then pushing the slide out. The reason why is because this little plunger is actually spring assisted. You can see there. So you don't want it just shooting off into the stratosphere. Now, you're actually not going to need this anymore with this particular setup with these night visions. So just put that in your little spare parts bin, never to be likely seen again. And for Trijicons, you're actually going to take out this screw here. For this case, you're not going to, but this is a left-hand screw, so don't be confused when it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. So those parts over there. Next, we're going to worry about the front blade. You can see there it's got like a little flange. Boy, the camera focus is just really fighting me. You're going to take your little hex bit here, stick it in there. And this one is lefty loosey, righty tighty. Now, the reason why I recommend it the flat blade is if you are going with a Trijicon or anything like that, this procedure will be very close, so might be able to help you a bit. But you literally just take that, unscrew that, screw it in the other. But this you're not going to need as well anymore. So just hold that off to the side. You're going to take your sight, you're going to press it a little bit to the side. It's going to pop right out. I'd recommend, of course, just re-threading that back in. That way you don't lose it, having your original parts bit. So keep that, put that back in the pistol box that we all know that you have in the back corner of your closet, never to be seen again. So with that, we're actually done that part. Now, I'd recommend taking a little bit of cloth, just cleaning underneath, cleaning in any area where the sight was, because you don't know what kind of carbon or anything like that has built up. This back looks pretty clean, but we're still going to make sure that that dovetail is really clean. I'll say why that's important here in a second. But nothing really too crazy. Now comes the fun part. So you're going to take your sights, which, again, like I said, guys, these are pretty bright. I mean, you see I got a pretty bright studio light here, and they are coming through. So really nice. You're going to take them, and you're going to test fit it. How you're going to do that is you're going to kind of push as much as you can, and it should go in effortlessly up until the halfway point. If it only has about the 25% mark, it isn't going about halfway through the sight, then you're going to have to sand it down. I know it's going to sound weird, but this is actually what you have to do. So you can see there, it isn't going to slide all the way through. The Walther came right out, but this isn't going to fit. So how we're going to achieve that is you take your nice little sanding stone that they have, and actually I'll show you guys. Oh, guys, it's going to be a long video here, so just bear with me. But I figure if it's well worth doing, it's well worth doing right. Am I right? So you can probably see there. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it is definitely a tight fit. It's definitely not. Oh, come on, focus. It's definitely not able to clear that shelf just as is, because these are going in flat. It is a straight, so it's a pseudo dovetail. It's not actually a dovetail to where it's like, the bow tie shape. It's actually just riding on these flanges here, which you can see there. Oh boy, I feel like that AVE guy. I'm not sure if you guys see his videos, but he's like, "Focus, you fuck." But yeah, so you have to sand this down. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your gun oil of choice. And then you're actually going to take this and you're just going to spread a little bit. Now I'm going to use in the edge because that's where we're actually going to get. We're actually going to get right in the crack of it. So make sure you just wet that stone up pretty good. Excuse the weird thumb scar. Got in a fight with a TV. We're just going to get a little bit more. Let's soak in just a little bit. It's essentially like a whetstone, guys, for like knives. So then we're just going to take this. You see in here, and we're going to get a good little bit of an angle, and then we're just going to gently file a little bit of it. Trust me, I know this feels weird, just like the nail polish, the HK nail salon. Check that video out. But it's going to feel absolutely weird. You just take light little strokes. You see there, I'm actually not working on the front of it. I'm actually getting it right in that edge and making sure I'm working that edge there. Do the same on the other side. You see, we actually didn't need that much. We just needed a little tiny bit. Feel free to skip ahead a bit. But yeah, I'm just going to take that little bit here. Now, I've seen that people say as well, you can, you could take this and kind of swirl it around the bottom. That's really good for, if you're trying to lessen the clearance just a bit, but you want to take that edge down just a hair. I'm just going to try and see, it didn't remove a lot, but yeah, we still need a bit more. Yeah, we're going to say, you may actually see with my own eyes here. Yeah, so we're still going pretty tight. I don't know if you guys can see what I mean when I say the bottom of it, but there you go. You can see that it's actually, the light is coming through at the bottom of the sight, so you know it's actually not that part. It's actually those little tight flanges. It is pretty clear on the top, though, obviously. So we're going to work on the bottoms, and push comes to shove, we can actually start doing, like I said, we can start sanding those bottoms on the stone. But here, guys, I'm going to do a jump cut real quick, and I'll catch you guys here in a second. Okie dokie, guys, so we're back at it here. So did the whole whetstone thing. You can see how much material we took off, so we mainly just took those little tiny edges off, and what we're trying to achieve, I should probably better show you. So what we're trying to achieve is, don't mind the little love marks. Those will come off. That's just, yeah, let's see if I can get you. Will it work? Needless to say, it is pretty tight. So for these ones, at least in particular, they definitely needed a bit of filing, but you can feel when you give it a push that it's pretty much ready to go. It just needs a little tap. I did give it some few, gentle love taps with the old hammer here, and you can see once I do that, make sure it's all the correct orientation. The last thing you want to do is put them in the wrong way, right? Just take a little nylon hammer. And you guys might not be able to tell, but it's definitely, you can see there, it's definitely making its move on the way down. Now, night vision, they recommend you use this little punch here. That's what those little love marks are. This aluminum punch, so it is lighter than any of the material, so it doesn't get a mar. It might just make a little surface mark, but you can just take your oil and just buff that out. But yeah, for this in particular, for this slide, I would recommend taking just a little, maybe just a little dab of oil in there. Nothing much, nothing crazy. There's my working into those channels. And guys, when you're doing this, make sure that after you are done, that those channels that run parallel here are free from any of the metal shavings that you might have pushed off. So just doing a final little check here. And yeah, we're just going to give it a little taps. I do have a tipped-in vise up here, but I'm just going to try it with this way because you guys might not have that. So I figure this would be the best method. Now we're getting to that point. So what I'd say is take a little piece of cloth here, put it on there. Take your soft mallet, and you're going to make sure you're going to want to actually not put it on the flange here. You're going to want to put it right on the flats. So I'll take this, hold it there, and hit with the metal side. You can see there it is making a move, but I'm going to move this gimbal out the way. Essentially, guys, that's going to be the general procedure. It's going to kind of just tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tap. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo. And, yeah, I'll catch you guys here in a second. So hold on for the jump cut. Hey. Hey guys, so I'm back here. Just had to give it a few more love taps. And if you're anything OCD like myself, then you want it to be perfectly centered. So, you just gotta double, triple check. Usually, what I'll do is you can see there, I got it as centered could be, looking pretty okay. I was just mainly going off, just kind of eyeballing it here. And one thing about your sights, guys, is, some guns, shoot differently. That's obviously when you drift your sight. So if for whatever reason, you have it perfectly centered, but your gun shoots, a little bit this way, a little bit the other, make sure it's definitely not you and not your form. But if it is, you can drift the sight just back over just a little bit, but micro adjustment. You see there, I kind of pretty much just went over, if it can focus. Oh, darn, this camera focus. Well, you can kind of see there how I am not focusing. Oh, camera. There we go. You can kind of see there how it's just a little bit over on that slant and a little bit over in the slant, but that's pretty well centered. You kind of, just use the geometry, going from this is centered and kind of just looking at it overall, but not too big of a thing if it isn't. Once you have this, then you're just going to take your included Allen. And what I would recommend, this is just me, is we are going to Loctite this sucker. We're going to use blue Loctite thread locker, just like the normal stuff. The reason is, for any kind of sight, because it is moving and, you don't want to get jarred around. Then you want to be able to, move it a bit accordingly. I would, however, recommend that you do this after the fact, that you make sure it's shooting straight. So use your set screw, make sure it's there, because it's already tight as it is, guys. It's really not going to go anywhere pretty much. So I'm going to omit that for now, but in a perfect world where you knew your gun shot perfectly straight, then I would say go ahead and blue Loctite thread locker. But for this instance, because this gun I know shoots pretty true, but it that shot just a little bit to the right. We're just gonna tighten this down, and you can always come back to it. Again, like I said, it is snug already as it is, so it really isn't gonna go anywhere. But this is just a insurance policy, so you just want to give a little bit past oomph. So you hear kind of it like that first crick, then with any kind of screw, you're pretty much set. And you can see there, it is out of our sight picture, but still in there. So we're going to try to go a little bit more. Cool. So there we go. It's as flat can be. It definitely bottomed out there. So you can see there, doesn't really impede too much. That's with this sight. Now, what you could do is there is obviously still a bit of a gap between the two, so you could flatten out that bottom a bit more to bring it up, but I'm perfectly okay with that. That is not a hindrance to me at all, especially since it's going to be a suppressor host. And just mainly giving you guys the general mechanics of it. So you're going to take that, don't lose a screw, keep that nice and tucked in there like that, and you can see here they actually included blue thread locker on the front side post screw, because they know you're not going to really be taking that off that often. So this part just drops straight in there, just like that. Hold it with your finger. Preload the little tool there, a little Glock sight tool. Nice and straightened up. And what I find, guys, instead of trying to flip this over, you're just going to hold it, line it up, and bring it in. Then once it's in, drop in a bit. And you can see there, we caught it. So I just got to start tightening it. Now it is going to feel a bit tight at first. That's just because of the thread locker in there. For this, you're going to make sure that's pushed down, because it is like locking in. Because if you just do this, you see there, it's just going to move. So you want to make sure you're pushing down nice and tight. Make sure there's no any kind of play. There's not. And just pull this in. It's always hard doing this through like the little gimbal. So bear with me here, guys. And you just want to go, again, just a little bit fully tight and then a little So with that, that is our front sight installed. We're just going to eye it up here. Looks centered in between the lines. Very nice. That's one good thing about this Walther here is you can see these little line serrations. So just goes through there. And there is your sight picture. I may end up taking that screw out, pushing it back out, flattening it down, but we'll see how I like it so far. It doesn't really impede me that much. Just from general eyeballing it here, it fits pretty fine. You really don't notice it. The camera's making it pick up more than what it is, but yeah, you can see there it pretty much vanishes. So not an issue, not a concern. But I know this video was long here. Trying something out a bit different. Sights, I always hate doing them. I'm sure you do as well. They're a very tedious process and they take a bit of finesse. Most important thing I would say, guys, is if you're using this, take little steps, because you can always take more off, but you can't put more back. So take it tiny increments. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you stayed around this long, thank you very much. And please consider liking, commenting, or subscribing. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, awesome, fantastic day. And I'll catch you guys next time. See you guys. Hey guys, I already know I said my goodbyes here, but I just wanted to add one more thing real quick. I just couldn't let that sit right like that with that screw. My OCD would have flared up like a son of a gun. So what I did was I actually took I filed down the head part, the part that this actually mates with, of that screw. So, it still works. You can still tighten it and things like that. But I took it on the whetstone here, oiled it up, and just flattened it down. And you can see there, we have a lot better picture, a lot smoother, a lot cleaner, and all that fun stuff. Also, I want to add, it did come with blue thread locker on there. I didn't see it in person. I was looking at the viewfinder here, and it wasn't working too well. But just wanted to add that for you guys, just a little helpful tip and trick. So catch you guys.